Biz on the track.
It's B on the beat.
How you supposed to have light if you got solar missing? Everything seemed bright with solar vision. A whole court and a witness, nobody noticed missing. I'm my own judge, jury, and the co-defendant. It ain't an idol with its solar image. Get to the core, my nigga, no pretending. Hotter than Jamie Foxx on a solar mission. Melchizedek, no beginning nor an ending. Ain't no need to study long if you gon' study wrong. Got me chasing the ghosts with no lully bones. Blew a hustle anywhere but never hustle home. Mama prayed for his soul cause he ain't coming home. Watch you doctrine get demolished. Bluetooth polished for YouTube scholars. I do for knowledge, not no stupid dollars. My new provider make them hoop and holler. In the lead for the light bringers, Illuminati. You ain't doing nada and blue ain't bother. Can't be rolling with you with no stupid maga. No Candace Owens, I don't do Kamala. Free flowing out this new Kabbalah. Lumen in the garden, hit a human olive. And you can get this stick with no soup and salad. Blue seek asylum on a Cuban island. My newest challenge is live a long life. Can't nobody live it for you, you gon' live your own life. Right place, wrong time, I'm in the valley where the bones dry. I prophesy till the bones rise. How you supposed to have light if you got solar missing? Everything seemed bright with solar vision. A whole court and a witness, nobody noticed missing. I'm my own judge, jury, and the co-defendant. It ain't an idol with its solar image. Get to the core, my nigga, no pretending. Hotter than Jamie Foxx on a solar mission. Melchizedek, no beginning nor an ending. Wake up, Jacob, tell him it's urgent. Identify me by the blessings, never the curses. Walk on water, but I never submerging. You a goon on Zoom, but never in person. My verses merge with the ancient letters. My rating's good, but my rank is better. You soft as Wayne and baby's leather. If I bring my best, you can't do better. Local natives surrounded by the foreigners. The throne of David, the crown is Moorish. I can anoint the babies and crown the poorest. I'm rolling out, I found the forest. Lex told me keep a head and a leg up. Y'all rob with a tank at your head, bruh. Consul told Blue keep your bread up. Seen solar at the door like Legba. Yeah, I'm shooting for the top like Rick Berry. Sneaking baseline, tryna rip Parrish. This is where your talking points get perished. Just to be a champion like Chris Harris. How you supposed to have light if you got solar missing? Everything seemed bright with solar vision. A whole court and a witness, nobody noticed missing. I'm my own judge, jury, and the co-defendant. It ain't an idol with its solar image. Get to the core, my nigga, no pretending. Hotter than Jamie Foxx on a solar mission. Melchizedek, no beginning nor an ending.
Peace. What's good, family? This is your boy, Solar Mind, and I am here live, family. So when you come in the building, hit the like button. When you come in the building, family, this is the Solar Vision Debate League. And we have a very powerful show tonight, family. We got two of the premier debaters in the Solar Vision Debate League. Orthodox Moor is in the building.
Peace, family. How y'all doing? Peace to the panel, peace to the chat.
And there is an APB out on T Dizzle. He's in the building, family. What's good with the brother? You in there?
Hey.
It look like you in there. It look like you in there giving people the vaccination, brother. What's good?
Yeah.
You up in that hospital administrating that vaccination to the masses?
Nah. I'm keeping them drunk. I'm keeping their spirits up.
Okay. All right. Okay, no doubt. All right, so we have a very powerful debate tonight, and everybody know who Orthodox Moor is. Orthodox Moor is the one who destroyed the chances. All you Domo fans out there, he destroyed the chances of Domo in season 2 to making it to the finals. This is the man, the Moorish assassin. He is here on the Solar Vision Debate League. He is one of the founding members of the Solar Vision Debate League. And he has a loaded clip that he's been loading patiently for a whole season. Yes, the return of the Moorish assassin. He's coming back and he's shooting everything that's moving. So we'll see if he's up to the task, because we have New King Era in the building. And everybody knows New King Era is the one that toppled the champion of season 2. Yes, family. He is the one. That took the soul out of Chris Harris. He is the one. New King Era. So these two powerful debaters is going to match up tonight. And we're going to figure out who has a better argument tonight. Very interesting topic. And guess what, family? There will be. I got to do this some more. I love this nigga. It's going to be a shucklebuck round on this one. God damn, it's going to be a fucking shucklebuck.
We doing a Shucklebuck Award in season 4?
Yeah. Oh, damn. You know what? Did I get the Shucklebuck Award? Oh, yeah. Swab Boss got it. I'm tripping. Yeah, Swab Boss got the Shucklebuck Award for this year. I thought I almost forgot an award. Yeah.
I think y'all owe me a couple retroactive Shucklebuck Awards. No.
Yeah, I was going to actually do that for no. I'm not going to give you no Shucklebuck Award. I just came up with that concept. But I was going to do that with Claim, because he was the People's Champion in I think it was season 1. He was the People's Champion. But yeah. I mean, yeah, you score high on the Shucklebuck, definitely. You know, so with that being said, it's a very topic that I'm interested in dealing with. The Ishmaelites, are the Ishmaelites Israelites? Are the Ishmaelites Israelites? Shout out to the league. We're going to get right into it right after this brief announcement, family. Welcome to the Solar Vision Debate League postseason, where the puppies cry and the big dogs eat first. So you finally made it. You finally made it to the Solar Vision Debate League postseason. It's a lot of debating that got to go down in order to get to the coveted Solar Vision Debate League finals. Hey, 14 debaters, 1 title. We're going to see who has the guts to stand through the line of fire here on the Solar Vision Debate League, because it only could be one champion. Is it you? Is this your year, family? We'll see. This is the Solar Vision Debate League postseason, and only the big dogs show up here, family. Shout out to the league. Yes, family. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. We're going to go with a standard format for tonight's debate, which would be a 5-minute opening, 10-minute premise, 10-minute piece for the rebuttal round and rap fire round. We're going to have a 5-minute closing. And yes, family, there will be a Shucklebuck round for this one, because I just like fucking with Orthodox Moor. So that's to get my practice up. You know what I'm saying? He's a worthy opponent. You know? So, with that being said, who would like to go first? Who would like to go first in this exhibition debate?
I do believe that T Duck is the affirmative.
Okay. T Dizzle?
I gotta use the bathroom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
I'm
crazy. Here. Right, yeah. I see you circling the drain already.
Oh, he ready? You want me to introduce myself?
Nah, he said, yeah, he said you're the affirmative, so you already introduced yourself. It's time to get it in, brother. You gotta go to the bathroom first?
Well, hell. Well, allow me to get it going because we taking this to Paran. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, don't mistake it with Sinai. Paran is where Ishmael and the Ishmaelites came together. But we got to take it back. I'm moving too fast. We got to talk about Abraham. And my qualifications of being one of Abraham's favorite, most cherished descendants, I think I'm well qualified to interpret the whole situation of how Ishmael, Hagar's son, who is mistakenly seen as a slave, but anyone who is familiar with the Midrash knows that she was Pharaoh's daughter. And it only qualifies the fact that when the covenant was made, which we all understand a covenant is an agreement, our Ishmaelite, not our Ishmaelite brothers, but our Israelite brothers have a misconception that they are the sole proprietors of a covenant. No. Because we can all open up our books and go to Genesis and see where it is when they were in the wilderness, but that's the term they use in the English dictionary. But for those in the know that they were speaking of a place called Paran.
Mm-hmm.
So Hagar and Ishmael almost near death experienced an angel from the Most High, and that angel guaranteed them that they will be a great nation, 12 princes to be exact, to cover the land in which now we know the Arabian Peninsula. Sinai is located on the northern point of Egypt, on that little cusp. But Mount Sinai is in Paran. Moses himself visited Paran not once but twice. Once when he was with his father-in-law, and the second time when he had to flee up out of Egypt. And by this time, you had Joseph and all that. He got into, it was made that they was Israelites, yeah, yada, yada. But when they first got to Paran, remember Moses went up on the mountain, Mount Sinai, and then the people came with when he came back down, they was embellishing. That's because there were people already there, the Ishmaelites. And once they came into being with the Ishmaelites, of course, you give and take. So there were some Israelites that was doing that, but there was also some Ishmaelites who started dealing with Israel in the manner of Judaism. And to further drill this in so you can conceptually understand where I'm coming from, is that if you take the Quran and you take the Torah customs They're pretty much the same. Just to highlight a few key ones. Don't eat pork. Women wear head covers. You know, how you slaughter your meat. Dietary practices. All is that the same. The only difference was when Muhammad came. And then
Time.
that Prophet Muhammad changed it. And that's how they became the Muslims. But before that, they was Israelites. Go ahead.
All right. Shout out to T Dizzle. We're gonna hand this thing now over to Orthodox Moor. Orthodox Moor, you have 5 minutes for your opening round. Whenever you're ready, you can begin, brother.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen right quick.
Yeah. All right. Yo. I told you don't come and play with Moore, bro. He's not playing with y'all niggas.
So can you see my screen out?
Yeah, we can see your screen, bro, whenever you're ready, bro.
All right. Like this. So, peace to the family, peace to the chat. Appreciate Solomon for allowing us to have this debate on this platform. Appreciate Brother T-Duck for bringing this topic to me. This is not my topic. This is a topic the brother brought to me. So I appreciate him for being confident in his information to the points where he wants to have this debate with me. But with that, family, let's get it. So the topic of this debate is, are Ishmaelites Israelites? Ishmael is not Israel, nor are Ishmaelites Israelites. My premise is this. My first premise is this. The Bible never states that Ishmael or Ishmaelites are ever Israel or Israelites, either literally or figuratively. In fact, the Bible distinguishes between the two by nationality and covenant. In fact, you just heard T-Duck stipulate that Ishmael was made a great nation. I'm going to get into that later. But he already agrees with one of my premises. My second premise is this. The Quran never states that Ishmael or Ishmaelites are ever Israel or Israelites, either literally or figuratively. In fact, the Quran distinguishes between the two by nationality and covenant as well. My counter premise is this. My opponent will have to show via the Bible as the scripture of the Israelites where Ishmael or his seed is ever literally or figuratively referred to as Israel or Israelites by nation or covenant. My second counter premise is this. My opponent will have to show via the Quran as the scripture of the Ishmaelites where Ishmael or his seed are ever literally or figuratively referred to as Israel or Israelites by nation or covenant. My conclusion is this. I will illustrate that the Bible and Quran differentiate between Ishmaelites and Israelites by nationality and covenant, that there is a difference between Hebrew ethnicity and Israelite nationality, and I will also illustrate the different roles and rights for Ishmael and Israel within the religion of Abraham, illustrating that, in fact, Ishmaelites are not Israelites. Again, illustrating that, in fact, Ishmaelites are not Israelites. Questions my opponent will have to answer in this debate are this. How are Ishmaelites and Israelites, Israelites when they have two different maternal lineages? How are Ishmaelites Israelites when they have two different nationalities? How are Ishmaelites Israelites when they have two different covenants? How are Ishmaelites Israelites when they have two different religious rights? So my opponent is stipulating that they have similar practices. I'm going to stipulate and show how they have different practices and different religious rights that are not the same. My first disclaimer is this. This debate is not about Ishmaelites and Israelites both being of a Hebrew ethnicity through Abraham. There are many nations in the Bible and Quran of a Hebrew ethnicity, yet only one nation is designated as Israel in both books. Any appeal to the logic of Hebrew equals Israelite is a classic false equivalence fallacy, where an equivalence is drawn between two subjects using flawed reasoning. My second disclaimer is this. This debate is not about Ishmaelites and Israelites sharing religious ties through Abraham. Both have distinct roles and rights within their religious ties that are recognized in each other's scriptures. Again, any appeal to the logic of Islam where Shalem equals Israelite is a classic false equivalence fallacy, family. I want that to be clear. Moving forward. The key to the debate is this. The key to this debate is understanding that this debate is not about what makes Ishmaelites and Israelites similar, but in what makes them different. They have many similarities. However, even in the similarities, they contain differences. And when those differences are added together, it becomes clear and obvious that Ishmaelites are in fact not Israelites. For instance, this is an example of what I'm talking about. Arabic and Hebrew are similar languages, but they are not the same language. You can look in both languages and just, for instance, use the basic root of SLM and find that both languages have multiple roots or multiple words based off this one Semitic root, as they're both Semitic languages. You can see that the greetings are similar. Salamu alaikum, peace be upon you, or shalom aleichem, peace be upon you. Very similar. Just saying peace or a greeting, salam in Arabic or shalom in Hebrew, very similar. However, they are not the same language. There are aspects of these languages that make them different. So again, I'm going to show the differences in the practices and religious rites in covenants and nationalities, etc., to show that they are not the same. They may be similar, but they are not the same. And again, in fact, Ishmaelites are not Israelites. And with that, I yield the balance of my time.
All right, shout out to both debaters. We're going to take a brief intermission, and we will be right back, family, with the premise round. This is the Solar Vision Debate League, man. You're now rocking with the best. This is your boy Solar Mine, and guess what? We got more debates lined up for the family. How y'all liking season 3 so far? I know, man. We took things to a whole nother level. Shout out to the league. Make sure you come prepared, cause these debaters in this league is not playing this season, as what y'all can see. These debaters are coming locked and loaded. So make sure you show some love to the boy Solar Mind when you come in the building for these debates. I want to know who's going to be the winner at the end. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for who's going to be the one to reign supreme for the 2020-2021 season. So, let's get these debates on, shall we? Yes, family, this is the Solar Vision Debate League, and we're going to go into the premise round, family. We're going to set the time for 10 minutes and pass this thing over to T Dizzle. T Duck, it is on you, brother. Whenever you're ready, you could begin your premise, brother.
Okay, let's start with the fact that, have these people ever came into contact? And if they came into contact, how so? We must go back to Egypt. We must remember that Abraham's was in Egypt. We also must remember his wife was half Egyptian. Well, not half Egyptian, but the son, excuse me, Ishmael was half Egyptian. And I guess for the sake of argument, so everybody ain't pouring, yelling down my throat, he was Hebrew. So we have to remember, though, in the Midrash, it clearly states that Hagar was beloved, she had piety, virtue, and that in time, when she changed her name to Keturah, he accepted his wife back, and that Ishmael was finally the son of Abram. So let's go there. So he was back into the Hebrew fold in that sense. And that's why it's not far-fetched to understand that when they met back up, the relatives, they're not different nations. They are relatives. They are related. They are the same people. A mountain is what differentiates them, not anything other than that. So once again, we are dealing with the same people. We're dealing with the uncle and a nephew, and people that stem from that uncle and that nephew. These are the same lineages. It's the same lineage. The Bible agrees with that. And no, let's not stop ourselves or even proclaim to think that when people come into contact of different ideologies, they don't trade things. They were both in the same wilderness of Paran. Ideas were exchanged, philosophies were exchanged. Some ideas were accepted, others were discarded. So it's only obvious to realize that the uncle yielded to his nephew, Israel. It's just as simple as that. So that's what happened in Paran. The Bible backs this up in Numbers 10:12. It backs it up in verses in Genesis. The Midrash speaks of Hera and Abraham in that situation, and it goes more in depth into the issues with the two brothers, Ishmael and his brother, where Sarah felt like he was getting picked on too much and things of that nature, and he needed to get rid of him, and he wasn't gonna do it till the Most High told him to. But later on, they got back together, and both, they were separated at the time. The start is all in Egypt, and when Israel finally got escorted out of Egypt, Moses was there. He already been to Paran. He going back to Paran. They working together until Israel overthrew the Ishmaelites in that particular area of Paran. But like I said, there were 12 princes that came out of Israel's loin. So, of course, Israel got envious and wanted a piece of that. But how you think they got in close to obtain something like that? They got them to understand the idea of Judaism, of that covenant that was made with Israel. And Ishmaelites adopted it. Not in totality, but the few that wanted to accept it. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And it shows in their literature. We got to understand the biasness of the Bible. We just can't conclude. And then the Quran is so far away from when all of this is taking place. I mean, and the Quran is next to Medina. So we have to use a sense of logic when we're dealing with this topic and this issue. We have to understand that Islam is nothing more than an adaptation of Judaism. And that's because you're dealing with the same people. The same people. Nephew and uncle. Nowhere in this world is you going to see a white uncle and a black nephew. Like, it don't go like that. It just don't rock like that. It's not happening. But we like to believe, like, I understand bruh did the thing with his cousin. And yeah, that was kind of weird. But at the end of the day, these all the same people. Like, I don't know how clear I could be with this situation. And the fact that the Bible in so many verses speaks to Quran and the happenings in Quran. Maybe if you did a search of Quran in the Bible, because a lot of people are unfamiliar with it, or they overlook it because it doesn't seem that important, because it's not readily to anyone's doctrine or benefits them to understand this information I'm dropping right now. But yes, Ishmaelites yielded to Judaism and Quran. And the Bible does extensively point to that conclusion. But then Genesis, Numbers, and Kings, First Kings to be exact, because a lot of doctrines or what people use, they try to say the midrash is fake, so they don't listen to the midrash. They say midrash mythology, but it's not. You can't set one with the other. Midrash came before the law. Like, that was the oral tradition, the midrash. Like, let's be real with ourselves when it comes to understanding what we're laying down. And to bring in Islam is far too late, because that's when Muhammad's on the scene, and by then, a lot of the story did change. Quran is, like I said, Quran is no longer where it is, where Mount Sinai is. Now it's down over there by Medina. So, I mean, anybody with an honest ear can realize and think that if these two people came into contact before there was an overthrow of the people that was already established, that there was some type of communication and embellishing each other's cultures to some shape, form, or fashion. And that's exactly what happened. And that is how I'm proving that the Ishmaelites are the Israelites. I yield my time.
Shout out to T Dizzle. We're going to pass the rock now over to Orthodox Moor. Reset the timer for 10 minutes. It is on you, Orthodox Moor. Whenever you're ready, you could begin your premise, brother. Unmute your mic.
Okay, I'm about to share my screen.
Screen is sharing.
As we said, I'm starting my time now. So just to be clear with the family in premise round 2, the Midrash is not equal to the scripture of either the Israelites or the Ishmaelites. The Ishmaelites do not take the Midrash as a scripture because it is a commentary of a particular Jewish group and not even all of them. And again, commentary is not equal to scripture, and that is another false equivalence fallacy. But getting into the round, this is a genealogy of Shem in which you get to see the lineage of Abraham, and an issue my brother's going to have here because Abraham is called a Hebrew in the lineage of Eber. Let me get my joint up here. In the lineage of Eber, and in the lineage of Eber, you have not only Israel and Ishmael, you have Edomites, Moabites, Ammonites, and Midianites. And again, he was talking about people being uncles and all them type of things and nephews and all that. Yeah. And the same lineage of being Hebrews. So in that sense, if they're like, he's got to not only show if that Ishmaelites are Israelites, he's got to show that Edomites are Israelites, that Moabites are Israelites, that Ammonites are Israelites, and that Midianites are Israelites. Otherwise, it's a classic false equivalence fallacy. He's trying to equate Hebrews to Israelites, and they're not the same. There's a Hebrew ethnicity that all these different tribes share, that all these different nations share. They're Hebrew nations, 100%. 100%. That's their ethnicity. But they're separate and distinct nations. Separate and distinct. So while Ishmael and Israel may be Hebrew nations, they are specific nations within themselves and do not specifically equate. Ishmael is not Israel. Again, Abram is called the father of many nations in the Hebrew, and he's going to have to, again, this shows all of these nations are not Israelites just because they are Hebrew by ethnicity. And trying to say such is, again, a classic false equivalence fallacy. So here we have Abraham the Hebrew, and what it says about him in the Bible. It says that he will be made into a great nation in Genesis 12:2, that all families will be blessed through him in Genesis 12:3, that he is called Abram the Hebrew in Genesis 14:13 as the nation, as that great nation. Many nations will come from him, Genesis 17:4-5. Kings will come from him, Genesis 17:6. God will be a God to his seed, Genesis 17:7, and his seed will inherit the land, Genesis 17:8. And that the covenant that all of this is marked by for Abraham is the covenant of circumcision, Genesis 17:10-14. Again, we can see here that Abraham is made into a great nation in Genesis 12. Or told that he would be made into a great nation. We can see him recognized as such as Abraham the Hebrew in Genesis 14. It says here that, and there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite. It specifies here in Genesis 17 and other spots that kings will be in the lineage of Abraham. It says here, and I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And we can see a confirmation of this in Genesis 49 and 10, which stipulates through the lineage of Israel, that the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come. Now, there's going to be a differentiation here between kings and princes. My man already acknowledged that there's 12 princes. Again, similar is not the same. A king is not the same as a prince in any way, shape, or form. They may be similar, but they are not the same. The seed of Abraham's inheritance, through the covenant of circumcision, his seed will be given inheritance in the land. My man keeps talking about the land of Paran. That's part of the land in which was given inheritance to. We see that the Israelites are given inheritance in a whole separate part of the land, that they are in Israel, while Ishmael dwells in the wilderness of Paran, two separate areas for two separate nations. The Quran stipulates this, that there will be two nations with different books. It specifies that the Torah was given to the Jews or to the Israelites or whatnot in Surah 5, ayat 44. But it also specifies this in Surah 5, ayat 48, that the Quran was revealed to Muhammad, etc., and that had Allah willed, he would have made you into one nation, but to test you in what he has given you, so race to all that is good. So bottom line, the Quran is stipulating that Israel and Ishmael could be made into one nation, but that Allah wanted to, and his purpose in not doing so was to test them, and so that they could race towards righteousness. So they are not the same nation by design. This is Ishmael in the Bible. It says that Hagar was promised a multiplied seed in Genesis 16 and 10, that Ishmael would be a great nation, Genesis 17 and 20, in other spots. It says that, again, my brother acknowledged that he will have 12 princes, in Genesis 17 and 20, that God will be with him in Genesis 17 and 7. He gets inheritance in the land in Genesis 21 and 21, in that area of Paran. And God hears Ishmael and delivers him when he's thirsting and almost about to die of thirst in Genesis 21, 17 through 20. Again, he's circumcised the same day as Abraham, Genesis 17 and 25, which is why he gets inheritance in the land and why God is a God unto him. He has that same covenant. Ishmael is the seed of Hagar. In Genesis 16, we see that Sarah is having beef with Hagar because she's conceived and got a little haughty in her eyes or whatnot. And so there's a situation to where Hagar runs away for a little bit, but when she does, an angel of the Lord goes to speak to her and tells her this. Genesis 16, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child and shalt bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael. Ishmael is also made into a great nation, which my brother already acknowledged. Genesis 17, 18, it says, and Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. Going on to verse 20, it says, and for Ishmael I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 persons shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. This is also echoed in Genesis 21. And verse 13, it says, and also of the son of the bondwoman, speaking of Hagar, will I make a nation, because he is thy seed. In verse 18, it says, arise, lift up the lad, speaking of Ishmael, and hold him in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation. It doesn't say that he will be made the same nation as Israel. As a matter of fact, when he's cast out, is because Sarah says he will not partake in the inheritance with Isaac. So they're not equated anywhere in that scroll. It specifies here that God is with Ishmael and hears him. In Genesis 21 and 17, he hears the voice of the lad, and he also provides for him to get drink. Going further, Ishmael dwells in the land. Again, Genesis 21 stipulates that he dwells in the wilderness of Paran, in line with that covenant of circumcision. Ishmael in the Quran. Now, this is where it gets specifically different. Ishmael is given a covenant of being a keeper of the house, or the Beit Allah, or the Kaaba, in Surah 2, Ayah 125. Ishmael is given a secure city in Surah 2, Ayah 126. Ishmael raises foundations of the house with Abraham in Surah 2, Ayah 127. Ishmael is made a Muslim nation, separate from all other nations in Surah 2, Ayah 128. Ishmael will have a messenger in Surah 2, Ayah 129. And this is what it stipulates in Surah 2, Ayah 125, that Ishmael will have a covenant as a keeper of the house. And mention when we made the house a place of return for the people and a place of security, and take, O believers, from the standing place of Abraham, a place of prayer. And we charged or made a covenant. That word there in Arabic is covenant. And we made a covenant with Abraham and Ishmael, saying, purify my house for those who perform tawaf, and those who are staying for worship, and those who bow and prostrate in prayer. It goes on to say in Ayah 126 and 127, my Lord, make this a secure city and provide its people with fruits. So Ishmael is given his own secure city. This is not Jerusalem. It's a completely separate city. Goes on to say in 127, hold on, let me jump on to 128 as a matter of fact. Oh Lord, make us Muslims in submission to you, and from our descendants a Muslim nation. Ishmael is made into a Muslim nation after having a covenant, a completely separate covenant in a completely different nation than Israel. And it specifies here in verse 129, O Lord, and send among them a messenger from themselves who will recite to them your verses and teach them the book and wisdom and purify them. So in his covenant, Ishmael is given a specific messenger for his nation. That sounds like it's my time, family.
All right. Shout out to the Orthodox Moor. We're going to come back with the coveted rebuttal round, family. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. What's good, family? This is your boy Solar, and this is the Solar Vision Debate League. We're going down the final stretch, family, and this is the debaters that had the grit and the toughness. You soft debaters are already gone, but we got a little more to go before we get to the playoffs. And you know when the playoffs start, baby, that's a whole nother animal. This is the Solar Vision Debate League, intellectual supremacy. Yes, family, this is the Solar Vision Debate League, and we are now getting into the rebuttal round. We're going to start out with T-Duck. T-Duck, you have 10 minutes to rebut Orthodox Moor. Whenever you're ready, you can begin your rebuttal, brother. Unmute your mic.
All right, I'm back. Let's start with the fact that the Bible only says that they're related. When the Bible speaks of nations...
Got your camera on, brother.
Oh, I'm sorry. When the Bible speaks of nations, it's not talking about nations on the same premise of how we deal with it today. My opponent is looking at it from today's lens, putting application to the term nation as if it were how we do things today, and that's not the case. When they talk about nation, they mainly were talking about family members to that extent. So he made a fatal flaw when he said he tried to bring Edom into it. No covenant or agreement was made with Edom, and I would like him to show me that in the Bible. If so was, and trying to use the Bible is like, you got to understand the Bible is not a detailed book, so it glances over, it touches the surface of certain things, and it leads you to investigate, other avenues to get those answers. And that's what I was trying to bring to your attention. It was historians like Jerome. It was well, he wasn't really a historian, he was kind of a priest, a religious historian, so to speak, if I could put those two words together and it makes sense. He was a way back then. And then it was also Ibycus. who was a Greek who dealt with the understanding of Ishmael and the foundation of how they, their going ons and the things, their fights with the Chaldeans and things of that nature. And then he expressed how the Chaldeans viewed them and the observations. So we're talking about real history. We're not talking about sacred texts at that point. So you trying to detail what is said in the Bible, you're confirming pretty much what I'm saying. Because the Bible only says that they came into contact and that they're related. You are taking the covenant to mean something more because, from what I remember, in order to be a king, you have to once be a prince. And I knew you would make that argument. And it further details why they came into contact and they intermingled and they yielded and accepted his nephew's practices of Judaism in order for those lines of princes to eventually become kings, to the point to where it was actually an Israelite king that came into play. Because that wilderness housed both of them. And when they founded Israel, it wasn't only Israel that went to Israel. It was converted Ishmaelites as well. So that's what I'm saying. And you cannot, just because you say that these are particular nations, it doesn't dispel the fact that they're relatives. You can't dispel the fact that they got the same uh uh patriarch patriarchal, however you say it, DNA in them. Like that Hebrew blood is running through all of them, even Edom. Now those covenants are just agreements. They were made with the princes, and then I'm thank you for bringing that out. Israel was to become kings, but in order to become kings, they had to go through Ishmael, and Ishmael had to go through Israel. See, that's all I'm saying. That bond in that relationship, they were thicker than thieves before, whatever society, and then, Israel thought it would be best to, expel them and take over. They took over the Ishmaelites at one point in time before they journeyed to Israel. So that would be another testament of them having to adopt the culture. But that time it was forcefully. First it was agreement in Paran, and then when Israel, started to become stronger and move through the ranks, they did that. But when they talk about great warriors and wars, Jerome and Evicus point to the Ishmaelites. And they didn't always, even though the Bible say they would be princes, yeah, there were kings. They got real live kings, Ishmaelite kings. I mean, to speak of in history, not documented in the Bible, but real historical events highlights Ishmaelite kings. That is not the case when we talk about Israel. Israel is solely, you solely dependent upon the Bible and use circle of reasoning to understand or grasp this. So, I think, as well as others, and people who accept the Midrash, understand that they join forces, just like uh, the gangster disciples and the black disciples at one time. You know what I'm saying? They became the black gangster disciples. It's just like, the MCs and the Stones. At one time, they was just the Stones. It's the same thing. Nothing new under the sun. But he wants you to feel as though like one is better than the other. No, they needed each other to survive. Because you got to remember who was out there. They had to compete with Egypt. And if not, Egypt, Samaria, Mesopotamia, the Phoenicians. Like, it was real beef out there. So why not combine forces? But it's always inner fighting and stuff like that. So pretty much everything he said. And then he brought out the Quran. The Quran really can't speak to it. It was before the Quran's time. It was way before the Quran's time. Like, there's inaccuracies with the stories. I'm not saying one is right and the other isn't, but I'm just saying it's a lot different. But the Quran came a lot later, because we got to understand we got to wait for Muhammad, and they claim Hagar to be and Ishmael to be their you know, what is it? They forefathers and mothers, So what else was he saying? He was saying about Genesis, all those things he brought up in Genesis, highlighting what happened with Israel and how they got the covenant and things of that nature. Yeah, that's fine and dandy, but that doesn't speak to them being a different people, because the Bible says that they were related. So once again, we can't take our ideas of nation now and apply it to then. We can't take the Bible to mean the totality of the understanding when you have other information out there that speaks to history, that they could find archaeological proof that the Ishmaelites really was like putting in work at things of that nature. And these aren't like spiritually holy archaeologists that's doing this. This is like regular PhD archaeologists, you know what I'm saying? Unbiased scientists that attest to Ishmael and Israel having similar cultures and ways, to the thought of they even combined themselves in order to take on more stronger nations that were out there. Because we got to understand, those people, these are just family members. They situated their families as nations, but they're really just family members. Just like if me and Suave and Taz was related. You know what I'm saying? And then, well, this the Tazneites. But hell, we all brothers. Like, that's my nephew. But, you know what I'm saying? Now, TJ is Taz's son. So now the TJites is a nation. And we got to be real about the situation. It's not that complicated or that complex. These people weren't nations. They was just family members. Like, we take it to mean something that doesn't apply to that. And with that, you have to redress, like, more. You have to deal with Quran. You got to deal with the social interaction people have when they meet up. Just because the Bible says that, it doesn't speak to the social interaction. It only contests that they actually met up and were surrounded and had to deal with each other for a amount of time, where, you transfer things. You have sex with women of that culture, or none of that. None of those people were purists. So just like in America now, so it's kind of hard for me to understand why you can't think a black man today could be whitewashed. And back then, Ishmaelite could, in a sense, switch up and be like, oh, I'm with Judaism now. So, yeah.
All right. Shout out to T Dizzle. We're gonna hand this thing now over to Orthodox Moor. You have 10 minutes to do your thing whenever you're ready, brother.
Okay, let me share my screen one more again. Pick up where I left off. Can you see my screen, Solar?
Yeah, we see the screen, brother.
Can my screen be seen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm starting my time now. So again, picking up where I left off, this is Israel in the Bible. These are the differentiations of Israel in the Bible. It says here that Sarah will bear the seed of the covenant, Genesis 17 and 19. That kings shall come from her lineage, Genesis 17 and 16. Again, that's a differentiation the Bible makes on this. This isn't some. If he wants to say I can't take from the Quran, which I'll deal with in a second, he has to break down why the Bible stipulates that that one gets kings and one gets princes, because it definitely makes that differentiation. And nowhere does it say Ishmael gets a king anywhere in the Bible, or in the Midrash for that fashion. It says a kingdom of priests and a holy nation shall be of Israel. Exodus 19:6. It says that Israel will be made a covenant of the people. Isaiah 42:6, Isaiah 49:8. And they'll be made a covenant of the people by going into a captivity and then being gathered from that captivity. And there's two great captivities talked about in two Exoduses thereof, basically. It also says that they will be given inheritance in the land, i.e. the land of Israel, Genesis 17:8. That they are set apart by the Sabbath. This is a specific covenant that they are given in Exodus 31:16. It's a covenant of the Sabbath. This is not something that Ishmael is given, and the Quran specifies this as well. The Bible in the Quran specifies this. Nowhere in the Bible does it specify that Ishmael is given the Sabbath to follow. Yes, they have that Ishmael has a covenant of circumcision, but nowhere does Ishmael have the covenant of the Sabbath. It also specifies that the Messiah will be of Israel. There's a messianic figure, a kingly figure, and we see this with Judah's scepter as well in Genesis 49:10, and we also see this in Malachi 3, etc. So again, we have Israel, the covenant of circumcision in Genesis 17, where they get inheritance in the land, etc. And God has gotten to them. But they also have a different set of covenants. We have the old and new covenant from Exodus 19 through 20, where you see the Mosaic law coming down, but you also see a new covenant being foretold that they have in Jeremiah 31:31, which is specifically for Israel and Judah. It is not for Ishmael. It says the covenant of the Sabbath, again, is for them, is for Israel forever. It's not ever given to Ishmael. Exodus 31:16. Going forward, family. You know what? I'm actually going to blow past some of this just because I've made that point. I'm going to jump into what it specifies about Israel in the Quran. It says that Israel is given a covenant in Surah 2, Ayat 40. It says that Israel is chosen above all the world in Surah 2, Ayat 122. It specifies that Israel is given the Sabbath covenant in Surah 4, Ayat 154. And it specifies that Israel is given the Messiah in Surah 3, Ayat 45, and in Surah 5, Ayat 72. And it also prophesies that Israel will fall and rise twice, just like that concept of being made a covenant for the people. In Surah 17, Ayat 4 through 6. So it says here in Surah 2, Ayat 40, and also in 2, Ayat 122, that, O children of Israel, remember my favor, which I have bestowed upon you, and fulfill my covenant, that I will fulfill your covenant, and be afraid of me. It also goes on to say, O children of Israel, remember my favor, which I have bestowed upon you, that I preferred you over the worlds. That I preferred you over the worlds. A specific covenant with Israel where they're chosen above all the world. Israel is given the Sabbath covenant and is specified in the Quran. In Surah 4, Ayah 154, it specifies, and we raised over them the mount. This is when they're when they've left Egypt and they're getting the covenant at Sinai. It says, and we raised over them the mount for their covenants, and we say to them, enter the gate bowing humbly, and we say to them, do not transgress on the Sabbath, and we took from them a solemn covenant. It says in Surah 4, Ayat 47, that we cursed the Sabbath breakers. Nowhere in the Quran is it specified that Ishmael is to follow the Sabbath in any way, shape, or form. Again, the Messiah is spoken of for Israel and confirmed in the Quran. In Surah 3, Ayat 45, and Surah 5, Ayat 72, where it's specified that the child given to Mary, his name will be the Messiah, Isa, etc. It's Surah 5, Ayat 72. It goes on to say that while the Messiah has said, O children of Israel, worship Allah, my Lord and your Lord. So there's a messianic figure in the Quran preaching to Israel. Again, it specifies this in Surah 17, that Israel will fall and rise twice. And Surah 17 is literally a surah about Israel. It is called the children of Israel. It specifies, and we convey to the children of Israel in the scripture that you will surely cause a corruption on the earth twice, and you will surely reach a degree of great haughtiness. So when the time of promise came for the first of them, we sent against you servants of ours, those of great military might, and they probed even into the homes, and it was a promise fulfilled. Goes on to say this. Then we gave back to you a return victory over them, and we reinforced you with wealth and sons and made you more numerous in manpower. It goes on to say, verse 7, if you do good, you do good for yourselves. And if you do evil, you do it to yourselves. Then when the final promise came, we sent your enemies to sadden your faces and to enter the temple in Jerusalem. And they entered the first time and to destroy what they had taken over the total destruction. So it's talking about the temple destruction, right? And it goes on to say this. Then Allah said, it is expected if you repent that your Lord will have mercy upon you. If you repent, your Lord will have mercy upon you. But if you return to sin, we will return to punishment, and we have made hell for the disbelievers a prison bed. It goes on to say, indeed, this Quran guides to that which is most suitable and gives good tidings to the believers who do righteous deeds that they will have a great reward. See, my brother says, why use the Quran? Well, the Quran, in part of the covenant given to Ishmael, in part of what the Bible specifies that he is that God is a God unto him, etc. We're going to see here further to where the Bible specifies that he's given a book, and that this book is going to help Israel understand what they fell off on and how to get right in coming out of this second captivity, on the second rise up, going into the proper rebuttal round. Again, these are specific religious practices that are different, not the same, but are different amongst Israel and Ishmael. And we'll see here why. Abraham builds an altar to Mecca in Surah 2, ayah 124 through 129. Abraham builds an altar in Jerusalem, Genesis 22, verse 9. Ishmael's people pray toward Mecca, toward this altar built that Abraham made in Surah 2, ayah 144. Israel prays toward Jerusalem, Surah 2, ayah 145, and Daniel 6 and 10. That's confirmed in the Bible and the Quran. So the Quran specifies that they pray in different directions to different cities. Ishmael's people do Hajj or a pilgrimage to Mecca, Surah 2, ayah 158. Israel does a Hagag or a Hajj or a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. That's where they do their pilgrimage, not to Mecca, but to Jerusalem. That's confirmed in many places, but you'll also see this in Zechariah 14:16. Muhammad goes to Jerusalem in 17:1, but you never see Israel making a pilgrimage to Mecca like Muhammad made to Jerusalem. The Quran is the guardian of the Torah, and Muhammad is the seal of the prophets. I'm going to get into this because the brother said I can't use the Quran. Now I'm going to jump into this whole seal concept. You know what? Let me do this right quick. Fast forward some stuff right quick. Do it like this. So again, similar is not the same. These are two different places here. You got Muslims doing their things with Mecca. You have Ishmaelites doing things with Mecca. Then you have Israelites doing their stuff with Jerusalem. Two different spots, two different nations, two different lands, two different covenants, two different roles, two different rights. And now we're going to get into the responsibilities in a second. Again, Abraham built his altars in Mecca. And he builds an altar in Jerusalem. Two different spots. Abraham's seeds have different qiblas where they face to pray. This is confirmed in the Quran one more time. Again, this is confirmed in the Bible to where and the Quran to where Israel does not pray to the same direction as Ishmael. That they do not. It says here in Surah 2, ayah 145, they would not follow your qibla, nor will you be a follower of their qibla, nor would they be followers of one another's qiblas, talking about other people of the book. So that all the people of the book get their own individual qibla that they pray towards. Not the same. Not the same. And again, we see in Daniel 6 and 10, Daniel is praying, and it says here, in his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed. Not the same. That is my time, family.
All right.
You there, Soul?
All right. Shout out to Orthodox Moor. We're going to get back with the rapid fire round, family. This should be interesting. This is the Solar Vision Debate League.
Dingo on the track.
I'm affiliated. 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 I'm affiliated with the folks. I'm affiliated with the Lords. I'm affiliated with the Stones. I'm affiliated with the Fours. I'm affiliated with the Bloods. I'm affiliated with the Crips. I'm affiliated with the Thugs. And we affiliated with the shit.
Within the quarters that you're residing right now with the off-white paint. If someone came in there and attacked your family, what would you use to defend yourself?
I'm affiliated. I grew up in the streets and met some real niggas trying to find something to eat. And met some real bitches trying to find something to feed.
Just took pictures of some black girls putting doll heads on next to some packaging boxes for propaganda. That's what you're saying?
Well, the Yarmouth was called the propaganda ship.
Sir, can you please speak to the context in which I'm asking you to question? I'm telling you, I'm not telling you, it's not your time to tell me. I'm asking you, did he just have girls take pictures, putting together dolls next to packaging boxes for propaganda?
Yes.
Boy, you are a sick person.
Outside, round with that K outside. Back when you can play outside, my niggas would stay outside. Just know on my grave I ride. Every motherfucking day I grind. To the motherfucking day I die. Disrespect the way that I'm affiliated. 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 I'm affiliated.
Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Yes, family, this is the Solar Vision Debate League, and we are now heading into the rapid fire round. We're going to start out with T. Dizzle. T. Duck, you have 10 minutes to interrogate Orthodox Moor. Whenever you're ready, you can begin your interrogation. Brother.
How you doing, brother?
All is well. How you living, brother, man?
This is Orthodox Moor, correct?
Yes, sir.
You had breakfast, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. I'm making sure you observing. Okay. Time will go down soon. All right.
Yes,
So, my first question to you: do you think the Bible is an accurate enough source to use without any archaeological verification?
For what?
In general.
You talking about like
In general.
for law, for history, for what?
In general.
For history, I would not take the Bible by itself for history. I would need to cooperate with outside sources. But in terms of social laws and practices and religious rights, yeah, it's fine.
Right. Do you hold true that the way that the Bible depicts nations is in the same way as we view nations today?
How do you mean?
Let me rephrase it for you. We view nations today as certain land masses with constituents that abide by laws that are given by government to some extent. Do you feel as though that is the same thing is implied when we speak of nations of Israel within the Bible?
I think I would say this. I think that the Bible depicts the same construct as you see in modern times, in that you can be a nation with a landmass or a nation without a landmass. Like, so for instance, how like the nation of Israel, they were practicing nationalism before they got a country. You can see to where Abraham is called Abraham the Hebrew before there's a Hebrew country. He's staying in a whole other nation. He's staying with the Amorites and whatnot. So I think that you can see the same concept to where you can see a specific nation with a landmass and a nation without a landmass. And you see where the nation of Israel, they're the nation of Israel before they get the land, but then they also get the land within the Bible.
So since you believe in that way, I would have to question Do you think that these nations are related?
In what way?
Are they related in the terms of what is it? Uh, family tree, lineage, as far as uh, family? Are they related as family nations?
In terms of having Hebrew ethnicity, one.
No, in terms of nations today, are they family?
Okay, I'm confused by the question. Like nations, like not all
Okay.
nations today are related or whatnot.
Okay. So we have nations, correct?
Yeah.
We have nations.
Mm-hmm.
We have the United States.
Mm-hmm.
We have Europe.
Mm-hmm.
We have the UK. So on and so forth. Do
Mm-hmm.
you feel as though all the nations that we have, even the African nations, do you feel as though that they're related through blood?
Only in the sense that they would descend from chromosome Adam.
Okay. So
But
do you
like, so
think,
for instance, to clarify, like, but the United States and Europe are not necessarily genetically the same people or whatnot. Just because you're an American citizen doesn't make you the same people genetically as the people in Europe. For instance, you and I are American citizens, right? We are not. For instance, we're not Finnish, right? We're not Finnish citizens. We're not citizens of Finland, or we're not the same genetic people as Finland just because we're
right? It's
we're,
not based on a nation isn't based on your family ties.
However, real quick though, if I was like of like the Navajo tribe, like, so I have Native American tribes in my blood.
Correct.
So like the Apache and the Navajo or whatever, so they might be related, and they also might be nations. So you have both constructs where you have nations and tribes that are related, and you have nations and tribes that are not.
But they're not related solely on the basis of that's how the nation is created. The nation is created by the people, not the family structure. Can you agree upon that as in terms of American Indian? Because I am fully aware I also have that type of blood in me.
I'm not sure what you're getting at there when you say not.
Okay. So I mean, at
In
least
terms of how they're created. I mean, like in terms
so
of
what I'm saying,
as far as I'm concerned, all nations are created from some common
yeah, in
where a group of people
terms
get together
of
and based upon.
no, I absolutely, I wholeheartedly understand where you're coming from, and
Okay.
I think you understand where I'm coming from. So to think
No, not
that,
quite.
so to think that a nation starts because you have a child is kind of like it makes no sense. Hold on, bud. Be quiet.
You're saying it makes no sense biblically?
No, it makes no sense in terms of a nation.
So are you stipulating that when the Bible says that Ishmael was made into a nation, when Abraham was made into a nation, that Israel was made into a nation, that it doesn't mean that, or what?
It doesn't quantify the fact that that's a nation. When you give birth to a child, how does that then become a nation?
Well, so in the Bible, it's not because there's birth given to a child. It's because God says that I will make that child. God in the Bible, right, says I will make that child a great nation.
I would make that child a great nation.
Mm-hmm.
That child, correct?
Yeah, like in your opening round, how you agreed that Ishmael's made a great nation.
Those children. All right, lovely one, stay up. Those, correct? He said that child, correct? Singular, not plural, correct?
Facts. So you'll never find a verse to where like it says that Israel and Ishmael are made into the same nation.
No, I get it. It's singular. That was singular, right? That child.
100%. Like, so you see singular in two different spots. Like for instance, in Genesis 17, to where it specifies when Abraham is crying out to God, it's like, man, like I want Ishmael to live in your sight. He's like, cool, I got you. I got him. I'll make him a nation. However, I'm still going to establish the covenant with Isaac. There's something given to Isaac that's not given to
that child.
And then a whole nother nation coming through
that child, not the rest of them. That child.
Right.
So I get that.
This is what we get
many
separate.
covenants. I'm not trying to trick you into nothing, my brother. As many covenants. So do you
Agreed.
do you adhere to the covenant made with Hagar or Karuth?
Ask that question different way. I don't get your meaning.
The covenant made with Hagar when it was in Paran.
Yeah.
When they were near death. So you understand that that's a covenant as well that most people don't observe.
Yeah, I stated the covenant. So I stated
do you
that.
understand that?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I showed
Okay,
where the angel came to her and said that
you
she would
don't
have
stay a prince forever, right?
Show me that in the Bible.
Really?
Show me where Ishmael is given the scepter from Judah in the Bible.
Do you understand? No, I'm just speaking in general, bro.
Okay, but in specific, are you?
Save it. How can it be specific?
Real quick. Just I gotta understand what you're saying. I gotta understand what you're saying, T-Dot. So are you saying in Genesis 49:10 when it stipulates that the scepter shall not depart from Judah until Shiloh returns, that it doesn't mean that it means that at some point in time it goes to Ishmael?
Okay, the princes. You know princes develop into kings. Is that not how the
cool
hierarchy goes?
Got you. But again, so here I'm trying to understand.
That's all I'm asking you about.
Agreed.
Okay, so I'll move on.
Princes become kings, but where did Ishmael ever get the scepter from Judah?
Okay, here's my question: when did Israel have princes?
After they had their first king.
Okay, so they had a prince after the first king. I would like to see that in scripture.
No. Okay, Saul. Okay, Saul had a son named Jonathan.
Saul was the first king. Is that what you're proposing?
Of Israel? Who was the first king of Israel?
Okay, I'm gonna help you out, man.
Who was the first king? Help me out. Was it Ishmael? Okay. Was Ishmael ever a king?
You already know. Ishmael.
Was Ishmael ever a king of Israel? Anywhere in the Bible?
Ever get accepted by his father?
What was that?
Did Ishmael ever get accepted by his father?
Ishmael was always accepted by his father.
All right.
Like Ishmael's father was pleading for Ishmael.
Correct. And why so? What was it about? Damn. Hey, can I ask this one last question real quick?
Go ahead, bro. You got it.
All right. What was it about Ishmael that plagued Sarah so much?
So, like she said, when she kicked him out, that he will not partake in my son's inheritance, right? Again, acknowledging the fact that she comes in the lineage of kings, or the kings will come from, and that there's a specific covenant with Isaac.
What actions was he doing in order to make her feel?
I believe the Bible stipulates he was mocking Isaac around the time of his circumcision.
He was punking Isaac. Go ahead and say it.
I don't believe the Bible says punking. I believe it says mocking, sir.
All right. So we're gonna move forward. We're gonna pass this thing now over to Orthodox Moor. You have 10 minutes to interrogate T-Duck whenever you're ready, brother.
Do it like this, sir. Okay. Are the Moabites Israelites, brother man? Yes or no?
The Moabites, yes.
How are the Moabites Israelites, and what verses from the Bible stipulate that they're Israelites?
No, excuse me. The Moabites are Hebrews.
The Moabites are Hebrews, but they're not Israelites.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Are the Ammonites Israelites? Yes or no?
I'm not sure. It depends who they.
The Ammonites are again the second son of a Lot, so they would be Hebrews.
Okay.
They're Moab's brother. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah. Then those are Hebrews as well.
Are they Israelites?
Anything before Isaac would be considered Hebrew.
Are they Israelites? I need the answer to the question. Are they Israelites?
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Are the Ammonites Israelites? Yes or no?
Are the Ishmaelites?
No. Yeah. Are the Ammonites Israelites? Yes or no?
No, they're Hebrews.
Okay. Are the Midianites Israelites? Yes or no?
No.
Are the Edomites Israelites? Yes or no?
No.
So every other Hebrew tribe and nation are not Israelites, but the Ishmaelites are Israelites.
Yes, because the covenant
what verse in the Bible stipulates that the Ishmaelites are Israelites?
Because the covenant was made.
Do you have a specific what covenant?
The covenant was made with Hagar, and also that
What covenant? Hold on, real quick. What covenant with Hagar was made to say that Ishmael is the same nation as Israel?
No, the covenant was made with.
So do you have a hold on, real quick? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you have a covenant with Hagar that stipulates that Ishmael and Israel are the same? Yes or no?
It's not a covenant. It was said in the
That's
Bible.
That's a yes/no question, but man, do you have a covenant with Hagar that stipulates that Ishmael and Israel are the same?
It's not a yes or no question because you have to understand.
Okay, what does the covenant stipulate with Hagar?
That he will be a great nation, and he will. They will have 12 princes.
So, like you said, he, not they, right? Singular, not plural, correct?
Well, 12 princes is plural.
So, is there a covenant with Hagar to where Ishmael and Israel are both mentioned? Yes or no?
No. There's
okay.
Not.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Moving forward.
Okay.
Did God promise to multiply Hagar's seed? Yes or no?
I'm not aware of her ever promising to multiply.
Okay, I'm gonna jump to another one. Did God make a covenant with Ishmael to keep the Kaaba? Yes or no? Did I show that? In my debate?
No.
In Surah 2, I didn't show that. I didn't show where
no,
where,
I'm
where
saying
Ishmael raised.
He didn't.
It doesn't stipulate that that a covenant is made with Abraham and Ishmael. To keep the house and to purify it.
There's a covenant made with Abraham, and Ishmael observes the God of Abraham. That's what I was trying to get to.
I need to share my screen if I can, Solar. I need to share my screen if I can.
Yeah.
So here, Surah 2 ayah 125, it says, and mention when we made the house a place of return for the people.
Wait, you reading from the Quran?
And I asked the question about the Quran. It says, and we charged Abraham and Ishmael, and that word for charged is covenant in Arabic. So does the Quran stipulate that Ishmael was given a specific covenant about the house or the Kaaba? Yes or no?
Oh, wait, I'm not sure because it says that Moses in Beersheba, the Kaaba was made in Beersheba by Moses and somebody.
Can you see my screen?
Hold on. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm reading here from the Quran, Surah 2, ayah 125. It says, and we charged Abraham and Ishmael, saying, purify my house for those who perform tawaf and those who are staying for worship and those who bow and prostrate in prayer. And that word for charged in Arabic actually means covenant.
Yeah, that's the discrepancy. You take it as to mean covenant, but it doesn't mean covenant. Charge means
No. That word wa'akna means covenant in Arabic.
Nah, it means employ.
Okay, show me that.
And we charge Abraham. That means we told him to do something. We charge Abraham and Ishmael, saying, purify my house for those who perform tawaf, and I can't see that, and those who are slaying their fur worship, and those, yeah, you gotta understand. It says in the Bible many times where Israel went astray, and this correction or this what you see is in the time of Muhammad.
Yeah, gotta do it later. No worries. I gotta reclaim my time. I gotta reclaim my time. So does the Quran stipulate that Ishmael was charged in some way, shape, or form to keep the Kaaba, to purify the house, and for those who perform tawaf?
Right, but the Kaaba wasn't
cool.
Clear.
Question. So second follow-up question. So is Israel ever charged with the same charge or covenant in the Quran? Yes or no? Or Bible? Yes or no?
Well, they were both given different charges, but
were they ever given charge over the Kaaba in Mecca? In the Quran, is Israel ever given charge over the Kaaba in Mecca?
They were both given different charges.
Gotcha. This is a simple yes/no question. In the Quran, don't run like a nosebleed, fam. Just answer the question. All right?
What's that?
Okay, so in the Quran, is Israel ever given charge over the Kaaba?
Israel did take charge over the Kaaba when they took control of whatchamacallit. And that one time when they ruled over
So is that
Islam.
whatchamacallit in that one time in the Quran? Yes or no?
Oh no.
Okay, cool. Appreciate you.
But it's in history.
No, I got a whole other question now. You know what I'm saying? So did let me jump to this one. Did God make Mecca a qibla to Ishmael? Yes or no? So when Muslims pray, they don't pray facing towards Mecca?
They do. But they started off in Quran.
Okay. So did God make Mecca a qibla for Israel in the Bible? Or Quran anyway?
No, I told you it was in Beersheba. Moses and whatchamacallit.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, Muslims and Israelites do not pray towards the same temple structure, correct?
Now,
yes or no? Yes or no?
Back then they did. Now they don't. That's important that you hear it that way.
Well, I already showed why they don't, because they were the Muslims in the Quran not to do so.
Yes, Islam came late though. You gotta understand, before they observed Islam, they observed.
So is Islam a part of God being a God to Ishmael? Yes or no?
Is what?
Is Islam a part of God being a God to Ishmael? Yes or no?
Of course, it's all ill.
Okay, so if it came from God, how was it off?
I never said it was.
So you're saying it's not in line.
I said it came at different times. It was
so why is that not
because
a Bible revelation?
You talking about something that.
Why is the Quran not a Bible revelation?
You're talking about something that he professed to me, and then you're applying it to when my grandson comes to be, and he professes something to him.
Let me ask you a question. Does the Quran stipulate that Muhammad is the unlettered prophet?
Does the Quran? Of course.
Okay.
Please be upon him.
So in Surah in Isaiah 29, who is the unlettered man with the sealed book?
Wait, what?
In Isaiah 29, who is the unlettered man with the sealed book?
Right. Are you you think that has to do with Islam? No, it doesn't.
So who was the unsealed? Who was the unlettered person with the sealed book?
It could be whoever.
So who is it?
It could be whoever. Like it's that general to where it could be anybody. That's why our brothers in faith are able to apply Muhammad to it.
So it says here in Isaiah 29 that therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, talking about Israel, even a marvelous work and a wonder. For the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book. Hold on, I skipped.
I can help you with this.
Here we go. And hold on, verse 11 and 12, right? It says, "And the vision of all has become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered." Hold on, I'm not done reading, bro. I ain't cut you. "And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I am not learned." Let me do it like this.
You understand?
Hold on, I'm still reading, bro. It says in verse 19, like I just said, "Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work and a wonder," etc. "And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness." Who is that unlettered man with that sealed book?
Right. And I agree, but you gotta understand, anything AD and
so you agree what? Hold on, you agree what? You agree what? Just so I'm clear.
I'm saying 700 AD is not what we're relating. I mean, that's too far in the future. We're talking about the past. We're talking about the patriarchs and their interaction. So we talking thousands of years in between. So that can't be. I mean, that doesn't relate.
So you just said though that the Quran came from God though. So
I know I'm supposed to believe it, but at the same time, it's just like I don't believe everything because I'm supposed to believe it. I believe it because to me it feels right. I understand where it comes from, and yeah, in a sense, I believe it. But
okay, so if you don't believe the Quran, who is the unlimited person with the sealed book? Is that sealed book the Quran?
I don't believe Isaiah. I believe the Quran. I don't believe Isaiah.
Oh, you believe the Quran, but you don't believe. So if you believe the Quran, how come you don't believe everything the Quran is saying? The Quran is saying that Ishmael is a Muslim nation, and that the Sabbath was given to Israel, etc.
Time.
They got different roles and rights.
All right. Time. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close this thing out, family, right after this brief intermission. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. Man.
Losing interest, you won't find nobody than this. I swear, God, if you leave, just let me know so I won't look down. When you move on, yeah. Losing interest, you won't find nobody than this. I swear, God, if you leave, just let me know so I won't look down. When you move on, yeah. Losing.
This is the Solar Vision Debate League, and we are closing this thing out, family. We're going to start out with T Dizzle. You got 5 minutes to do your thing, brother. Whenever you're ready, you could go ahead and close, brother. Unmute your mic.
All right, y'all. Not only was it clear that I did my thing, we seen that he tried to trip me up in that tricknology, questioning my faith and understanding. But it's not about faith and understanding at this point. It's about common sense. It's about what relations and what happens when people interact and come together. And I mean, like I said, the first time was out of love and admiration, but the second time was by force. And when you are captured, which Israel captured the Ishmaelites, you have to take on their culture, their religion, and all that comes with that. I mean, we're living proof, living examples of how that goes down across the diaspora. So I don't understand why he can't accept the fact that Ishmaelites for some time were Israelites, and then it wasn't until Muhammad, or the rebellion, so to speak, that they turned themselves, even though they're related, they're basically cousins, turned themselves into a different nation, because they can't change themselves into a different people because they're blood related relatives. So they're not going to be of a different race or anything. They might come in different hues because, we come out like a bag of tricks. Like, you may get a light skin, you may get a dark one, but we all related and we all have phenotypes and features that look the same for the most part. So that's the case when we're dealing with this family tree of Abram. And once again, Ishmael, is stated in the Midrash that Ishmael was beloved and kept the God of Abraham. It says that, as well as his mother with her piety, and she changed her name to Keruth, and she was accepted by Abraham. They reunited, and they lived a happily a happily ever after, and that speaks to them, never abandoning their Hebrew ways. And when they got in contact, yeah, the covenants were different, but just because I was promised something, you was promised something, don't mean that when we come together, we don't do, what people naturally do. that doesn't make our covenants wrong for us coming together and uniting and being one to deal with Egyptians, to deal with Mesopotamians, to deal with Samaria, to deal with the Phoenicians. Like, we got to just use common sense. And I proved that in Quran, as well as my opponent proved in Quran, they did meet up. We also proved in the wilderness that Israel took over. And even though I mentioned the names of the historians, Abicius and Jerome, I mean, if you look into them, they have, and the Chaldeans as well will speak to the Ishmaelites. And he brought up the most important thing, and I left it out for a reason so he could bring it up: circumcision. We all know the covenant that goes along with circumcision. Why was these so-called foreigner Israelites, other nations, circumcising themselves? Why was they not eating pork? Why was they observing the dietary laws? Why was that woman covering their hair? Why is they claiming the God of Abraham to be their God? And I mean, it just goes to show that, I mean, we all the same, man. So this bitter war we have amongst each other, it don't have to do with God. It's just ego. It's ego driven. So I can't wait for the day for Israel and Islam to see that, like, we one in the same. And with that, I yield my time.
Shout out to T Dizzle. We're gonna get this thing closed out with the Orthodox Moor. You got 5 minutes to do your thing, brother, whenever you're ready.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I would like to echo my brother T Duck's sentiments in terms of being one in religion. I think that is a very important concept to grasp, and I appreciate the brother for touching on that right quick. But with that, I got to get into my closing round. So can y'all see my screen?
They can see it now.
Okay. Again, my premise was that the Bible never states that Ishmael or Ishmaelites are ever Israel or Israelites, either literally or figuratively. And in fact, that the Bible distinguishes between the two by nationality and covenant. My second premise, again, was that the Quran never states this, that Ishmael or Ishmaelites are ever Israel or Israelites, either literally or figuratively. And in fact, the Quran distinguishes between the two by nation and covenant. And I do believe I showed that, family. My counter premise was that my opponent would have to show via the Bible as the scripture of the Israelites, where Ishmael or his seed is ever literally or figuratively referred to as Israel or Israelites by nation or covenant, and my opponent did not do such. He cited the Midrash, etc., which is not considered scripture by either the Israelites or Ishmaelites. My second counter premise was that my opponent would have to show via the Quran as the scripture of the Ishmaelites, where Ishmael or his seed are ever literally or figuratively referred to as Israel or Israelites by nation or covenant, and he was not able to do such. My conclusion was that I would illustrate that the Bible and Quran differentiate between Ishmaelites and Israelites by nationality and covenant, that there is a difference between Hebrew ethnicity and Israelite nationality, and I would also illustrate the difference between their roles and rights for Ishmael and Israel within the religion of Abraham, illustrating that in fact Ishmaelites are not Israelites, and I do believe I did that quite succinctly. Again, my disclaimer was that this debate is not about Ishmaelites and Israelites both being of a Hebrew ethnicity. Through Abraham, there are many nations in the Bible and Quran of a Hebrew ethnicity, yet only one nation is designated as Israel in both books. And again, my good brother appealed to the fallacy of false equivalence with the flawed logic that being Hebrew makes you Israel. And he showed this by stipulating that the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Midianites, etc., were not Israelites. And then when asked to show via the covenant he was talking about with Hagar, where Israel and Ishmael are the same, he said he couldn't show a covenant that said both of them were the same. Going forward, the other disclaimer was that this debate was not about Ishmaelites or Israelites sharing religious ties through Abraham, both having distinct roles and rights within their religious ties that are recognized in each other's scriptures. Again, any appeal to the logic of their religion being the same is the same classic false equivalence fallacy. Islam does not equal Israelite. Again, the key to this debate was understanding that the debate is not about what makes Ishmaelites and Israelites similar, but in what makes them different. They may have many similarities, but they are extremely different, as I showed. These are the questions that I don't feel like I got a great answer to, in terms of how do you differentiate between them. But just going past these questions, these were his talking points. He said Paran is where it happened. Paran does not equal Israel and is again a false equivalence fallacy based on flawed logic. Again, similar religious practices does not equate to Ishmaelites being Israelites. He was trying to say that they were in close relation physically, hence the religion switched up. It doesn't mean that they're the same people. And again, you can't show where the Ishmaelites were sojourning with Israelites to become nationally Israel if that was going to be argued. Again, T-Duck said in his talking points that Hebrew blood runs even through Edom. Again, this is the same false equivalency fallacy I said he would use. Hebrew does not equal Israel. And again, he showed this in the rapid fire where he said the Edomites were not Israelites. He also said that the Israelites and the Ishmaelites needed each other. I'm with that. Hence the dual roles and rights, having similar religions with different roles, etc. But having different roles, having similar religions within different roles does not make Ishmael Israel, either literally or figuratively. And he never showed how them needing each other would make them the same. Again, he said that the Quran can't be used. And then when I asked him who was the unlettered man with the sealed book in Isaiah 29, he seemed to agree it was the Quran. So I don't understand what the issue is. I really don't. But again, going forward, there's a specific difference between the two. We see that Ishmael is given a covenant with the Kaaba that Israel's never given. That he's given a city of security that's a whole different area than what Israel has. That he's made it to a Muslim nation. And I'll say this again, to where Israel has the covenant of Sabbath, where Ishmael does not. Peace.
All right. Shout out to both debaters, but unfortunately for both of these debaters, their time is officially up. The Shucklebuck round is now in section, family. Let me know who do you want Soul or Mind to Shucklebuck first. Press 1 for Orthodox Moor. Press 2 for T-Duck. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. Who do you want Soul or Mind to Shucklebuck first? Press 1 for Orthodox Moor, 2 for T-Duck. Excellent debate, man. Shout out to the league. We're going to get back to the playoffs tomorrow. Orthodox Moor will be squaring off against Madan Kemet.
Anonymous Hebrew, not Orthodox Moor.
Oh yeah, you know I got what they call that?
Yep, I got you.
What they call that though? There's
dyslexia?
Dyslexia. Yeah, dyslexia.
Yeah.
Orthodox Moor. Press 1 for Orthodox Moor and 2 for T-Duck. As what he said, Anonymous Hebrew will be squaring off against Madan Kemet tomorrow. Make sure you be in the building. It's going to be on Mother's Day, so should be a good one. The topic for that debate is, were there over 100,000 slaves brought to the Americas? Make sure you be in the building for that, family. So what is it looking like in the chat room? 1 for Orthodox Moor, 2 for T-Duck. It's looking like people are saying T-Duck. All right, so T-Duck it is. What's going on, T-Dizzle? Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. What's good?
All is well. I can't complain.
All right. So, talk to me. Are the Ishmaelites Israelites?
Absolutely.
And why do you believe that is the case, brother?
Because a covenant was also made with them, not to mention they never abandoned the God of Abraham. And we also have to keep in mind that they occupied the same land and time at one given time, and not also the fact that they were conquered by the Israelites at one point in time in the land of Paran. And we know once conquered, you have to give way to the ruling social, the ruling class socialization in their doctrines and in their philosophies and their language.
Can you show me any example of the Ishmaelites intermingling with the Israelites?
Oh, yes. The Exodus. I could go. I could go to Numbers. Well, first we got to start off where Ishmael and Hagar were sent off to the wilderness. We got to start there in Genesis, and then we read in Numbers 10:2 that the Israelites went to the same wilderness of Paran.
Okay, so who mingled with who? What names? Give me some names.
Who mingled with who? It would be Moses. Moses led the charge. Moses had to break out. He'd been to Haran already.
Okay, so who did he meet with? That was Ishmaelite.
Well, it wasn't anybody in particular.
So you're saying that he did not meet with any Ishmaelites?
No, he did. It's none to speak of because they generalized it. You gotta understand the source.
Okay, so how do you know that he made it with an Ishmaelite?
Because they were both in the same place.
Just because you're in the same place doesn't mean that you're meeting.
Oh, it absolutely does.
No, it does not.
No, it speaks to it.
No, it does not.
It does.
No, it don't. Just because you're in the same place with a person, bro, just because you're in the same place with a person or people doesn't mean that you're intermixing with them.
Absolutely.
No, it does not mean that. Why are you trying to make that mean something that it does not mean, bro?
No, because when he went up on top of the mountain, he came back down, and it said that people were worshiping other gods and deities.
So how is that intermingling? How is that mixing, bro? You sound silly right now, brother. No, how is that mixing? Right. Give me some examples. The Bible is very detailed on it explaining to us. The Bible is very detailed in explaining when people are married. It says such and such begot such and such, and they had such and such, which married such and such and begot. They're very detailed. Hey, stay up, Mike. So you don't have any examples of them intermingling?
Correct. I have examples. I have a lot.
Okay, so can you please give me one? Not that they lived in the same area.
Well, I don't know how much clearer you can get that now. How about when they conquered them? That's interaction.
Yeah, that's interaction. That doesn't mean that they're mingling, bro.
Oh yeah, okay. Right. But I mean, how else do you get close enough to someone to take over someone if you're not mingling with them? You feel me?
No, I don't feel you, bro.
Like, how else do you get?
You're not making no sense right now, bro.
There's no other way to take over a nation. You have to mingle.
Bro. Okay, can you give me examples of them mingling, bro? That's all I'm saying.
I said when they conquered them.
No, that's not showing examples of them mingling, bro.
So you saying they just came in guns a-blazing?
Yeah, kind of like what the Nazis did to the Jews.
But that's not in the Bible.
Okay, but that's an example of a group of people that was killing off of people and not mingling with them.
Right. So
you're dead, bro.
I would say the closest they came to mingling, I guess, when they
you're dead, bro. You can't give me no names. You can't give me no bloodline. You can't give me nothing. But they conquered an area that they were in.
The Chaldeans got the names of the kings of the Ishmaelites in Paran in eastern North Paran.
Okay. Give me the name of the Chaldean kings.
I don't.
Shut your ass up. This nigga talking about something. Yo, you had absolutely nothing to stand on, bro. Absolutely zero to stand on. What's going on, Orthodox Moor?
Chilling, you know what it is. What's good with you, sir?
Yeah. Are the Ishmaelites Israelites?
In no way, shape, or form.
And why do you believe that's the case?
Because there's nothing in the literature that says otherwise.
How are you related to somebody?
It depends. You can be related through descent. You can be related through nationality. You can be related, in this case, covenant.
Okay. So, is Isaac related to Ishmael?
Yes, sir.
How so?
They have the same patrilineal lineage through Abraham.
Don't they have the same covenant?
They share one covenant, the covenant of circumcision.
Okay. So,
but that's Abraham's covenant, not Israel's covenant.
Okay. So, you're saying that Isaac is related to Ishmael?
Uh-huh.
Isaac and Ishmael.
I'm not saying that the Bible says that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what. Oh, yeah. You just agreed to it. Okay. So, Isaac is related to Ishmael. You believe?
Yes.
Under what bloodline were the Israelites created?
I believe patrilineal, you would have the Abrahamic bloodline, and then you would have matrilineal. I believe it was either Rebecca or her sister. I can't remember the other lady's name, but
okay.
Off the top of my head, I can't recall the second lady's name.
And under what bloodline were the Ishmaelites created?
Under Hagar.
Under Hagar.
But to answer your previous question better, like Sarah, like so you got Abraham and Sarah, and then you got
patrilineally speaking.
Well, yeah, patrilineal it's all Abraham, but matrilineal there's two different.
Okay, so they both they have the same patrilineal line.
Mm-hmm.
So are they related?
Yes, as I've already stated.
Okay, so is Israelite a nationality?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're saying that Isaac is related to Ishmael.
Mm-hmm.
They both made the same covenant with Abraham, under Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
With the circumcision.
Mm-hmm.
So they are related through bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
And through the covenant.
With Abraham the Hebrew, 100%.
Right. So
they both have Hebrew ethnicity. As I stated earlier in my debate that you have they're both are Ishmaelites and Israelites. They're both?
Yeah, they both.
How? Break down that.
They both come from the same bloodline. They made the same covenant, bro.
So equate that for me, because right now I'm hearing a false equivalence policy.
It says in Genesis that this is a everlasting covenant. Do it not?
For which covenant?
There's only one covenant.
There's a bunch of covenants. What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about there's only one covenant that he was speaking of at that time.
So it's the question, which one?
Yeah, what at that time? I mean, like that was
so Genesis.
That was the covenant, brother. That was the covenant. We know that the covenant between me and you,
how about this one? What chapter are you talking about?
Which was done. This is in Genesis. What you laughing for? Nothing funny. What you laughing for? The covenant that was established between Isaac and Ishmael. They both were circumcised under that covenant, brother. That's
okay, so in that chapter, there's two covenants. Since the question, which one? Because so it specifies that even though that the Ishmael circumcised. It specifies in that same chapter that there's a second covenant given to Isaac that Ishmael does not get. And when Abraham's pleading to God, he's like, man.
Okay, so when he says to Abraham, this is an everlasting covenant, which one is he talking about?
I don't even know that said to Abraham. I believe that said to Israel.
Where does it say that at?
So I believe I cited in Exodus where it talks about the Sabbath being made an everlasting covenant.
Oh, we got it.
Off the top of my head, I want to say 30:16. If I can grab my notes right quick.
Yeah, grab your notes real quick, brother, because you're dead. It says, and the Lord said unto Abraham,
31:16, excuse me.
No, is it that far out? I think it's around. He said 31:16.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not that far out.
I'm saying the first everlasting covenant that I remember is
no.
We're talking about the
when he established a covenant, it was an everlasting covenant between me and you and the seeds after you. This was like around like I know
I got that. Hold on.
You find that.
So the covenant circumcision is Genesis 17:10 through 14.
It says 17 through 14?
Genesis 17:10 through 14, yep.
Okay, 17:10. This is my covenant which shall keep.
This is what happens when you gotta help somebody shut.
Wait. It says, and the Lord said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore thy seed after thee and their generations.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wait. Oh, here you go. Say it right here. 17 and 7. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and thy seed. Talking to Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee and their generations for an everlasting covenant. Who is he talking to?
To Abraham and his seed. And that particular
part. Okay, so who is Abraham? So who's Abraham's seed?
His children.
Okay, what's their names?
You have Ishmael, you have Isaac.
Okay, wait. So you're now saying that this covenant that he's speaking of is an everlasting covenant between both of them.
No, not just both of them. It includes the 8 sons from the Midianite.
Okay. We're gonna leave them out for argument's sake.
They don't count them.
No. I mean, in terms of the topic of the debate, why add that into the equation? That's only going to
because T-Duck already stated that the other Hebrews are not Israelites.
I mean, no. This is what I'm saying. In terms of the topic of the debate, let's not muddy the waters with other people that don't matter in this.
Let's not
topic.
use those.
Wait. So what I'm asking you right now, is when it says an everlasting covenant between me and the seed after me and their generations, is it talking about Isaac and Ishmael? Are they included in their generations?
1,000,000%, yes.
You're dead.
That
means that they are under the same covenant
of
Abraham,
who is a Hebrew, correct? Is Abraham an Israelite?
No, he's not an Israelite.
So how am I dead? You just killed yourself.
No,
you just sucked on a shotgun.
No, but this is what I'm saying.
You just sucked on a shotgun.
This is what I'm saying, though.
You just sucked on a shotgun.
He's trying to make me mad. What the hell are you doing right now, bro? What the hell are you doing right now? Yo, bro. Let me tell you,
I couldn't help it.
Isaac and Ishmael are related. You're saying they're under the same covenant, bro.
Of circumcision, 100%.
Okay, so the covenant was still through circumcision, right? The covenant was still through circumcision, right?
A covenant was, yeah, but there's a whole other covenant that Ishmael does not get.
Okay, so what is the covenant? Oh, no, what is the covenant that is established specifically with Israel?
That they get a lineage of kings and that they be made a nation, a holy nation.
Bro,
I'm answering the question now. I'm answering the question.
You are so dead right now, bro.
Then let a dead man answer.
Wait. So
then let a dead man answer the question.
They are not. He's not an Israelite. Isaac is not an Israelite.
No, he's not.
Okay, so why are you talking about stuff that's given to Isaac then when he's not an Israelite?
Because Isaac is given a specific covenant. And do not the Israelites come from Isaac?
Oh, they come from Abraham. If you want to do that, you're dead.
So Abraham's an Israelite?
Yeah. Well, is Isaac an Israelite?
No.
So why are you bringing him up then?
Because Israel's made a nation after Isaac.
Okay, so why not just go back to Abraham? Why stop there?
Because the title of the debate is what? Are the Ishmaelites Israelites?
Yeah. Well, if they got the same grandfather, if they got the same forefather, that means
I
they're all
start
related,
with
brother.
the Israelites, don't I? Don't I gotta start with the Israelites, Solar?
Oh, so who under
or do I start with the Israelites
who starts Israelites? Who starts the name Israelites, bro?
Do I start with the Israelites or no?
Well, okay, start with the Israelites then.
Okay, so that's not Isaac, right?
No.
Okay.
So who is it?
I took your best shot and I'm still standing.
Who is it?
It's Jacob.
Okay, so under what?
Jacob is the patriarch.
What new covenant does Jacob have?
Again,
shut your ass up, nigga. You're dead. Shout out to the league family. I like fucking with Orthodox Moor, man. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the brother coming back into the league. Shout out to the league family. We're gonna close this thing out. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. Man, we're gonna get back to the playoff debates tomorrow. That will be once again Anonymous Hebrew will be squaring off against Madan Kemet. Are there 100,000? Are there more than 100,000? Let me read it specifically, so y'all niggas won't be tripping. Were there over 100,000 slaves brought to the Americas during the transatlantic slave trade? Make sure you be in the building for that, family. Yeah, man. Let's play that blue shit.
Biz on the track.
SB on the beat.
How you supposed to have light if you got solar missing? Everything seemed bright with solar vision. Whole court and a witness, nobody noticed missing. I'm my own judge, jury, and the co-defendant. It ain't an idol if it's solar image. Get to the core, my nigga, no pretending. Hotter than Jamie Foxx on a solar mission. Melchizedek, no beginning nor an ending. Ain't no need to study long if you gon' study wrong. Got me chasing the ghost with no lully bones. Blew a hustle anywhere but never hustle home. Mama prayed for his soul cause he ain't coming home. Watch you doctrine get demolished. Bluetooth pilots for YouTube scholars. I do for knowledge, not no stupid dollars. My new provider make them hoop and holler. In the lead for the light bringers, Illuminati. You ain't doing nada and blue ain't bother. Can't be rolling with you with no stupid MAGA. No Candace Owens, I don't do Kamala. Free flowing out this new Kabbalah. Lumen in the garden, hit a human olive. And you can get this stick with no soup and salad. Blue seek asylum on a Cuban island. My newest challenge is live a long life. Can't nobody live it for you, you gon' live your own life. Right place, wrong time, I'm in the valley where the bones dry. I prophesy till the bones rise. How you supposed to have light if you got solar missing? Everything seemed bright with solar vision. Whole court and a witness, nobody noticed missing. I'm my own judge, jury, and the co-defendant. It ain't an idol if it's solar image. Get to the core, my nigga, no pretending. Hotter than than Jamie Foxx on a solar mission. Melchizedek, no beginning nor an ending. Wake up, Jacob, tell him it's urgent. Identify me by the blessings, never the curses. Walk on water, but I never submerging. You a goon on Zoom, but never in person. My verses merge with the ancient letters. My rating's good, but my rank is better. You soft as Wayne and baby's leather. If I bring my best, you can't do better. Local natives surrounded by the foreigners. The throne of David, the crown is Moorish. I can anoint the babies and crown the poorest. I'm rolling out, I found the forest. Lex told me keep a head and a leg up. Y'all rob with a tank at your head, bruh. Consul told Blue keep your bread up. Seen solar at the door like Legba. Yeah, I'm shooting for the top like Rick Berry. Sneaking baseline trying to rip Parrish. This is where your talking points get perished. Just to be a champion like Chris Harris. How you supposed to have light if you got solar missing? Everything seemed bright with solar vision. A whole court and a witness, nobody noticed missing. I'm my own judge, jury, and the co-defendant. It ain't an idol if it's solar image. Get to the core, my nigga, no pretending. Hotter than Jamie Foxx on a solar mission. Melchizedek, no beginning nor an ending.
This is the Solar Vision Debate League, the hottest debate league on social media. Shout out to the league, SVDL for life.